Today we have the honor of having Marilyn Stroud with us, who is the Chief Executive and a vocational expert and co-founder of Stroud Vocational Expert Services, LLC. She is an experienced vocational expert with witness specifically in the Social Security Office of Hearing Operations. Marilyn's background spans over 25 years in both private and public industries, multiple industry sectors, uh, state, local, and federal governments. As a lead vocational expert, Marilyn specializes in vocational assessment, testimony, labor market analysis. Stroud Vocational Services was established in 2012. It provides expert solutions in vocational rehabilitation and the world of vocational forensics. Vocational experts under the Stroud umbrella are skilled and certified in areas of vocational evaluation, case management, workforce, and human resources development, just to name a few. Marilyn, we're honored to have you with us today. At this point, I'll turn it over to you, and the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks so much. And can you all see me?
We cannot see your camera.
Okay, so you can't see me.
No.
No, that turns it off. Can you see me now?
No, we cannot.
No. I don't know how to view my profile. Can anyone help me?
Um,
I'm not quite sure.
If you look at the video button at the bottom, wherever it is on your screen, there should be a like a camcorder button, and
Yeah.
click the up arrow right there.
Oh, thank you. Alexa's always saving me.
Do you need us to share your presentation, or are you going to share it?
I can, I believe I would like to. So then I'll go to, sorry folks, I mainly use Teams. I've got used to using it.
Yeah,
So
share
how do I?
screen. Share
Okay,
screen, and you'll see the up green arrow.
okay, very good. Okay, here we go. I'm going to start off. First off, just thank you and thanks Alexis works on our team and I'm excited to be able to present to each of you. I understand there's several people that are working on their CRCs right now and are in college, various aspects here. So wherever you are in your career, I hope some of these tips may help you. I wish someone would have given them to me early on and I might have chosen a few different paths. But never dreamed of working in vocational forensics at all. So I'm going to start this out first and let's see, of course, I'm looking at, our learning objectives today include different possibilities. Of course, vocational rehabilitation. A lot of you think of a counseling type area. Of course, consulting. Some of you may be looking into consulting. And then forensics. I know most people is like, well, what on earth is that? I know until I got into it and then further in, never thought about vocational forensics and all the different areas of, subject expert work there is. Now, I want to okay, so of course, going into vocational rehabilitation careers itself, of course, it's growing. As we all know, our population is aging. A lot of different things going on of course, a specialization. So if you want to research this a little bit further, that would be probably great to kind of decide on where you're going forward in your career. Now, this is what I tell all of our VEs when they come on board with us. that they may not realize. They may realize that they are in a niche market, and it is specialized, and there is a need out there. And especially if your passion is in VR work, you can grow that passion into different areas. So it's looking at different targeted markets. And we all know you're in this, we all are, because we like to help others. So it brings an intrinsic value to ourselves. And overall, it contributes back to our national economy. What we're doing, we're not only helping people, we're getting them back into building, lives for themselves. And this, of course, contributes back. Some time ago, I remember the stats, someone can correct me if I'm wrong. It used to be for every training type dollar or dollar spent on job placements or whatever it might be in VR work, uh, tenfold came back into the economy. So that's a lot. We help the bottom line on our national economy. So, and you're helping others at the same time, which, what can be better than that? Some of the careers I know some of you may be looking at or may already be in, of course, employment advisors, that could be companies. You may branch over into an HR realm as well. And of course, there's certifications in that area. Employment services, case management, that could be in workforce development, or even, private workforce type places like temp services, etc. Of course, your employment specialists are something like maybe your, VR job placement specialist, and human services care specialists. Of course, we're all familiar with job coaches in different areas. And, it's not keeping to just your state or federal type programs, but there's counties, your workforce development. Don't forget about that because they are out there. I'm very pro there because that's where my background came from. So, and we work very closely with the voc rehab counselors and all the different case managers, whether it be veterans in different areas. So, and job placement is actually what brought me into working, leading towards now in the vocational forensic, which I never dreamed would happen. Of course, at that time, I didn't even know what it was. But then consulting, of course, that's a spinoff. As each of you grow in your career, you're going to become more specialized and you're subject experts, and you're going to look at different types of consulting opportunities or maybe presented with us. So that's something to really look at. And of course, these areas are growing faster than a lot of the average, at 5%. And that's your 22 to 32 nationwide. Once again, I did add in the source where I'm pulling these stats from. But I can't reiterate enough, and I know you all, or you wouldn't be where you are, how important our education and starting to build from there, and then going in and looking at different types of certification paths to go, whether it be your CRC, which I know many of you are working on that or, of course, already have. And then once you start gaining more knowledge and its experience, because when you start branching into consulting and vocational, forensic type work, it's the experience is a big factor. For instance, in your SSA VE work, you must have a minimum of 5 years of direct service experience, along with the CRC and the masters and one of the either VR or closely related. So and as you grow, you will see, I know many of the people who's worked with us, which we've encouraged them, they've gone on and got their, their VCAP certification, or working on I've gone blank on it, but there's several other disability related certifications out there. The life planning, of course, is a hot one right now. I know attorneys and other consulting firms that cannot find people with some of those specific certifications, and they need them. So it's something to kind of think about, which leads us to your legal services careers. Uh, and and we are providing a legal service, whether you're in litigation or doing the VE work for SSA, it's all falls under there. And as we all know, once again, it is growing. I thought this was a good graph, kind of breaks everything out and how it's expected to grow, up to 2030. And of course, the litigation part would be primarily where vocational forensics would fall within. But then there's other, labor and employment, of course, VR work can branch over into it as well. Many companies, Walmart corporate, there's what Amazon, several out there have people specialists within their organizations, of course, that are working with various types of government programs. And disabilities, of course, falls within that as well. So that's where your specialization is so important. Going into this, these are, of course, some of the areas your private practicing attorneys, as well as legal business firms and other government entities. And of course, SSA is kind of in its own little niche thing. It's totally separate. Guidelines different, which we'll get into that in just a little bit. Of course, these are some other areas when you go into vocational forensics, and some of you may have not thought about. The American Board of Vocational Experts did have a great course, but it kind of branched out on these different areas if someone chooses at some point to work on getting an ABBE certification. They have 3 different levels, which I highly recommend something like this. If you look at your career expanding into vocational forensics and litigation work, whether it's SSA or going into others, you have to have a certain amount of experience once again to even be considered to apply for their certification. But that would be an area to think about. These are the different areas it's broke into that the litigation work falls within. Divorce and family law, of course, veterans, work comp, employment law, railroads, a whole niche by itself, and of course the life care planning, and then Social Security's over by itself. Now, Social Security, I know a lot of people are looking at, well, there's supposed to be great money. Well, Social Security is kind of that starting point where a lot of people with your background may look at expanding, and then they go from there. That's getting your feet wet, basically, because it's not as adversarial as in what might be if you had to testify in a divorce court. Of course, it's totally different. And so it helps you learn the basics on how to present yourself in court. It's learning a lot of jargon, just like in our area on VR work, we have all our jargon. And when you go into, the courtrooms and the legal, it's learning how everything works in jargon and how to communicate. And so it's a great area to start if you have the opportunity. And then you can branch into the others. Now, of course, we think of forensic science, a lot is more the application of, criminal and civil law. Well, civil law could mean VR type work. Someone's injured on a job or injured in a car accident. There's different things. There could be education type related, maybe a child with a disability and needing assistance with their plan. There's all various things to start thinking about how this role in VR spreads out. And the reason I mentioned that, I had been doing the SSA work, started in 2012. 2018 is when my husband and I decided to branch out some. and start bringing some people in under our contract. And we went to a SEEK conference. So you might write that down, SEEK, if you're looking at really diving into vocational forensic type work. They teach you a lot of things, basically how you write reports, which I compare those to like writing a master's thesis. But it's, putting your testing and results and evaluation all into a bulletproof report. Because once you move into the other types of forensic science, it's tougher. You're cross-examined harder. So you have to be able to back up everything you write and know how to respond. My husband took the class on how to set up an expert witness firm. And what amazed me was all the different types of expert witnesses out there. We're just one little bitty piece. And, he ran into people. His background he was in plant management, and he's actually done some consulting on those. Then, there was everything from education to nurse practitioners, medical doctors, so they're all learning how, they're all subject experts themselves too. So it's a wide area, and there is still in vocational expert work and being able to work with firms that have already maybe get your foot in the door, those that have already built a relationship with different law firms is the key too. This, of course, going into, vocational forensics is the same thing as what many of you are doing now, of course. You're doing the assessments, the evaluations, of course, transferability of skills, your labor market analysis. And then, of course, you go into interrogatories. That's like we'll do a hearing, but it's on paper, basically. But it all involves all the other steps to be able to do an interrogatory, just like testifying in person. So, of course, the primary areas of vocational services, Social Security, and once again, public and private run voc rehab programs, your public and private workforce development programs, civil litigation, and then, of course, workers' compensation. So I keep stressing the education experience, and I know most of you may already have your master's, but going forward with getting the certifications. And probably the younger you are, the better. We all know that's easier. And it would help you start building to where, where your passions are in your field. So the role of a vocational expert, this is, we're impartial. That's what I like about it. Of course, as I mentioned, Social Security, in a hearing with Social Security is probably the easiest way to start. It's not as adversarial. And the administrative law judges are pretty good about protecting the fees. If an attorney or a non-attorney rep wants to start raking us across the coals, they're pretty good about stepping in. But we also have to learn, as I tell everybody, you learn how to defend yourself, defend your opinion without being defensive. It's just you're giving a professional opinion. And basically, it all comes down to, in some cases, the court or the judge to make that decision. So all of us, sometimes we have a little tougher hearings than others. But as you become more experienced, you learn how, just like on any presentation, to anticipate how you may be cross-examined. So you're ready and even be able to present those facts beforehand to avoid, extra cross-examination. As I've told many people, sometimes a simple yes or no is all you have to do in learning to listen and keep answers short and to the point and very specific. But as a SSA vocational expert, it's basically built around the work history profile. They've recently changed the regs. We only look at the last 5 years. However, you must become an expert on the dictionary occupational titles. And I'm sure nearly everyone is familiar with it. You've probably touched on it if you're still in school and not really gotten into it. Of course, many are saying, oh, it's outdated and it's not going to be used. Well, at this point in time, I mean, that's how the Social Security regs started being built around the DOT and the selected characteristics of occupation. It's still in the regs. It's not going away anytime soon. I know they've, we have ONET, which is a source more for job numbers and all. The whole difference on learning the DOT and really, but then also supplying it with your professional spirits and knowledge. That's what's understanding labor markets and how jobs are actually performed today versus when the DOT was developed. Those are things we testify to. But in the role of an SSA VE, everything's first and foremost the DOT, because all the hypotheticals that are presented to us during a hearing, which is all based on evidence as well, the medical evidence, the claimant's testimony, and then the judges pose hypotheticals, and we base our responses all around the Dictionary of Occupational Titles. And of course, the subsequent or supporting publications would include the selected characteristics of occupations, and of course, the revised handbook for analyzing jobs. And all these are built around each other. But of course, it comes back to our professional experience in education. And the main thing is remembering that we are, as a VE, as a vocational expert, you are a subject expert, and you're brought into the court to testify, and the outcome, which is this person's life, of course. So it's so important. It's a very important role. It's always providing the basis of the testimony. Of course, I've already gone over this. It's stated within the DOT, and we have to be able to back up if we deviate in any way from our facts on what we're supposed to rely our testimony on. This could be the same way in another type of hearing, say a civil litigation, and that's where the building the reports, which are more in depth, so it's all based on facts, and then being able to support what you've written in the reports and then what you might have stated in depositions as well. So, once again, it's a very important role. It will impact the outcome of any case in any type of, forensic environment. And of course, in SSA, a lot of it comes back to, does a medical condition meet an impairment listing? It may automatically. Age plays a big factor with SSA. That big 50 mark can change everything, especially 55 plus and closely approaching retirement age. So it's just our accuracy to becoming a vocational expert is doing a lot of upfront studying, even though I know many of you, it's like, oh, I just got through with getting my degree and getting these certifications. I don't want to study anymore. But when you're moving and building your career to the next area, you have to buckle down. Your credibility's on the line, and that's important. I know when I first started, I struggled. I mean, everybody I've talked to probably struggles at first, and I had to dig in deeper and really get in and understand, different guidelines. I dug through the DOT, and I don't know if any of you are using, I can't say enough about Job Browser Pro. I know a lot of people use ArcaBrowser and some of the others, but for the type of work we primarily do as SSA experts, Job Browser Pro, to me, it's the tool to use. And I studied it. There's just a wealth of information through SkillTran. And, their methodology has been peer reviewed and accepted. So you know, that you can't complain or do wrong by that. So once again, how do you become a good VE, an effective VE? If you decide to choose this point, whether it's SSA or any other forensic environment, it's to be inquisitive. You've got to study. You've got to learn the basics. You've got to research. You have to, if you're not a good writer, you need to work on your writing skills because you will be putting reports together. Not so much in SSA, it's very basic. But if you branch over into the other areas, the reporting is the key. Because most time, if you have a strong enough report, you want to end up having to go to trial, which is good. So, you know, of course, it's being able to articulate your ideas and the facts. And being a good speaker. It's working on speaking skills, being able to present, you know, your opinion briefly and defend your points in your position. And then, of course, being a teacher, sharing with the other professionals in your field. And that's one reason we decided to expand out. I wish the opportunity had been offered to me in my 40s. And I would have done a lot of things differently. But I thought at that point in my life, it would be great to be able to share some knowledge I gained. And, you know, it helped us and helped everyone around. And it's great to build a team of people that are kind of like-minded. You're going the same direction and learn from each other. But the credibility, that's the key, is your expertise in the field, your credentials, your training, experience, your integrity, the honesty, your knowledge, and being and speaking ability. All that brings to your credibility. So now how do you find your why in the vocation rehab field? I have a really short video I wanted you all to see.
Yes, we can hear it.
Welcome to the world of Social Security Administration's vocational experts. Whether you are joining as a seasoned vocational rehabilitation specialist, a brand new CRC or ABVE certificate, or just picking this role up on the side, you are a valued member of this national team. Our team at Stroud Academy looks forward to getting to know you and work together towards meeting your vocational expert training vision. That work begins now with this video, specifically designed to supplement your training with a focus on you. First things first, we recognize that starting a new job comes along with multiple emotions: excitement, stress, and worry about how one will perform, just to name a few. To ease some of that worry, we'd like you to know up front that we're partners together with you in this training journey. Each of us has a seat at the educational table. While input, this will help us ensure we meet your goals throughout the training process. Regardless of where you fit at this table, you are now one of our valued team members with vital input in shaping how you get there. To kickstart your success, Stroud Vocational Services teamed with Elite Pod to create Stroud Academy, which started the VE Launchpad. This will ensure that we remain focused on your part and ours in the team dynamic and growing culture of the Social Security Administration's VE population. It all starts with 3 W's, helping you get to your there as part of the team journey. Simon Sinek began this thought train when his book Start With Why came out. We like to approach this concept slightly differently because your why is important for you, but is only a portion of what will drive team success. It's really 1/3 of the equation towards truly getting to your there in an organization, wherever there is. The remaining 2 complete the 3 W's guiding personal success, all together comprising the why, the who, and the where of how you fit into and support organizational success. The first W is simple: find your why. This is a vital part of organizational development and will aid in true integration across your place of employment. Know what drives you every day towards success. Finding your why is easily done when broken down into mission, vision, and values. First, what is the mission of your organization and where do you fit in that mission? You need to completely understand what your role is in support of the day-to-day and overall mission serving as a vocational expert for the Social Security Administration. Ultimately, you will play a part in the success or failure of that mission. The better you perform in this role and aid those around you in understanding their part in it will also contribute to the same success. For Social Security Administration's Vocational Expert Services, this mission is to provide testimony as an impartial witness. What does that mean to you? Second, is that mission associated with a vision of the future or where the team is going? Normally, an organizational vision is a byproduct of the mission, and it may change, but you need to know where you fit in. Then you'll grasp your part in meeting that vision. Are you key to the role or a minor cog, or are you replaceable? We all have our part to play as a member of the team. Regardless of that role, the Social Security Administration's Vocational Expert Service Award Team is no different in the need to meet a vision. To support the agency's vision here, in conducting an administrative review process to determine receipt of benefits under one of their various disability programs. Third, what values underlay that mission and assist in meeting the vision? Your values support your part of the team culture and standards of performance, so don't just pay lip service to them, own them. Personal values are something instilled in us as a part of our formative experiences in childhood, education, business background, and so on. Each organization also has its own values. Knowing that, would you say your values mesh with the company values? The setting, or in this case the courtrooms and network of hearing offices, enables those values to flourish or fail, and you must embrace your part in meeting them. The values at Social Security Administration are driven by support for people like you or someone you know. It's simple, right? Mission, vision, values. The hard part is in application, but finding your why and helping those around you find their why goes a long ways towards helping us achieve buy-in from all the performers across the organization. This path of mission, vision, and values plays another important role, the success of the overall team. So, if you haven't figured it out yet, the next W is finding your who. You bet you have to know who is on your team, even if your team consists of just you. Each team has its own strengths, weaknesses, thought processes, and goals, partly because they are made up of individuals having the same diverse set of circumstances, and partly because they may have a different role to play in the success of the company. As an SSA VE, you're part of the whole team, and we'd like to provide these 3 steps for finding your who. These include knowing your team, the performers around you, and understanding your boss's role. Knowing your team is step 1. You must understand each person's role in support of the disability process. What do they do on a day-to-day basis, and how does this duty relate to the mission? The next level is when you understand that role and how it works with other vocational experts and judges for the entire hearing organization's success. Step 2 is understanding team performer roles in support of the mission. These are the ones that you're going to end up in since they're just like you. If you weren't a performer, you wouldn't be listening to this in the first place. But since you are probably developing or have already developed instincts about desired attributes of teammates and how this will enable your overall team success. Cultivating relationships with performers from other teams also assists in the overall success of the organization, since you will help each other push towards achieving mission goals. Step 3 is understanding your boss's role in support of the mission. You may be empowered to stimulate your role in increasing the company bottom line, but your boss is ultimately responsible for how you do that. Your relationship needs to consist of some transparency, at least behind closed doors, and the ability to have a frank and sometimes uncomfortable conversation. Each of you may have completely different opinions on the ways and means you employ to drive the success of the mission, but ultimately the one the boss signs up for is the one that matters. Next comes the synergy of these efforts, or how they all work together. The best teams hit this mark with the final aspect of the 3 W's, finding your where. Your where is driven by the mission and vision and enabled by your performance. Do you want to be CEO? Do you want to lead your own team? An internal look into your desires with the company you work for or with needs to form part of your drive every single day. Where do you want to go with this? And then you need to perform every day to get there. That performance starts here at Stroud Academy with the learning journey that you are embarking upon. So, where is there for you? Is it being the best vocational expert, billing specialist, COO or CEO, leader, owner? Regardless, understanding your role while performing to your utmost capability and following the 3 W's will help you along the way. So there you have it, the 3 W's of proactive organizational development, and it all begins with you. Know your why and embrace it. This will help keep you going on the long days and speed you towards success. Know your who and develop them along with yourself. They support your overall success as a team. And know you're aware. Ruthlessly drive at it with the best performance you can, wearing all the hats on the jobs that you acquire along the way. Again, welcome to Stroud Academy. We can't wait to learn together.
Marilyn, I just wanted to give you a heads up that we got about another 5 minutes or so, and then I have some questions and clarifications for you.
Okay, great. Okay. So the only thing I had left was, and I don't know, are you sharing this PowerPoint with everyone? Are you sharing the PowerPoint? Don't know. Well,
Yes, we can share it.
Okay. Well, that way, then we can cut off the end of it. Basically, at the end, it just closes with having knowing your why, your takeaways on this seminar, and your the three whys. Coming back to that, sit down and think about it on where you're going with your career, with your CRC, and all. And I just want to wish everybody the best. And I guess we're open for questions.
Sure. So a couple ones, and these are clarifications on acronyms that you've used. VCAP. So who is VCAP and what is VCAP certification?
Okay. VCAP is I have to get is it American Board of Vocational Evaluation something? I can send you the link. I'd be happy to share that to go to VCAP. Okay, so it's an evaluation specialization, and it's very good. They're a great group. And actually, there's an international certification along with the standard, I believe, but it's vecap.org.
And that's the international certification for
Yeah.
vocational evaluator.
Yes.
Beautiful. Also, you mentioned the SEEK conference. What is the SEEK conference? Is it the same as the Non-Clinicians Careers for Physicians conference?
No, it's separate. SEEK, I'm not sure on the acronym, but what it is a group of attorneys. And they usually put the conference on. I know there's one held in San Diego and also in Clearwater. There may be others, but we went to the one in Clearwater. And normally it's a couple times a year, but it's just seek.com. And you can go in and find out about SEEK. And they also have an expert witness directory you can join. So then those like a referral agency out there. So that's something to look at wherever you are in your career.
From Alicia Chambers. So we're quoting the BLS that the industry is growing, but we know that the closely related fields continues to grow and bring in other disciplines without additional training requirements. How are we taking into account, for instance, like social workers and therapists that might switch over to this field?
Well, switching over to the field, of course, would still require, they don't have the education, would have to have the relevant master's degree. Because even at SSA now, to even qualify to apply for any BPA whenever one opens or work under someone else's current BPA, as blanket purchase agreement, it's called. They have to have a minimum master's degree, a CRC or a ABVE certification, the American Board of Vocational Experts, and 5 years direct service experience. Those are the requirements now. So, the rumor is out there that there is going to be a BPA opening up. You have to have those requirements to apply for it. And then, of course, that would be, that's a whole nother gambit to get into. So.
Sure. And so also, how do you get started in finding someone who can train, teach, and or hire you for these roles, starting in
Okay.
forensics?
Well, one thing I was, sorry I interrupted you. One thing I was going to, I know ABVE has a program. I think it's like one, like for 8 weeks. The last time they did it was for 8 weeks, once a week. And I think you receive something like 20 or 30 CEUs on it. Now, of course, I'm going to try to sell our program, which now people that have come in under our contract, like Alexis, for instance, we supply the training to our internal VEs as part of their contract. We did decide some time ago and went commercial with it. So we have it's called the VE Launchpad. Actually, the person who helped me develop it was the one who developed that video. He's a retired military officer. So a lot of not only medical online training as well as military, how to take different approaches. But we took adult learning theory. It is all online. And one thing, it's only 50 CEUs. And you have access to that for a year. So you might want to check it out. It's under our website, and it would be the VE Launchpad. It's and one thing for all of you that have attended today, I wanted to offer a 20% discount. I've never done that before, but I thought it would be great for some of you coming on. And all the pricing and all is on there, but it's very reasonable, and there is group discounts as well. If there's some of you that are current contractors and you have people coming on, and because it's time consuming to learn how to do this. And that's the advantage of having an online program to refer back to and have plenty of time to go back for a year. And it has been approved by the CRCC on the staff. We're a preferred training provider.
We were asked if you're able to share the video or if you have a link to it that you showed us.
Yes, I do have on that particular. Now, YouTube has, and it'll be in the presentation I'll send over. Our YouTube it's a different telling about the VE Launchpad. This particular video itself is in our training. I would have to figure out I'd have to get the link, how to load it that way, but I'd be open to that, yes.
So we'll just give a minute or so in case anybody has any closing questions. Please put them in the chat box.
And
I'll talk about the training as someone who took it, Marilyn. I've taken the training. I thought it was very helpful. It did prepare me to give VE testimony. Marilyn is a great mentor. Any questions that I've had, she has always answered them and told me what to say, what not to say. It is a learning curve initially, especially as somebody who's new and starting out. So I would agree that you do need a mentor, someone who has done this for a very long time, and you do need a good training program. And the training program definitely offers that.
Well, one thing to make note, Social Security, the reason I decided to develop it, well, when I started, all they give you is a handbook. You look at a handbook, which has some basics, but when you start testifying, you're sitting on the hot seat. It's a little bit different ballgame. And so I kind of gathered over the years. And then when we decided to expand, we were bringing people into our office in Alabama and trying to teach them everything in a week, which is impossible. And plus, they were learning our systems. And that's when we decided to develop the training. And it's proved really good in taking adult learning theory with it, where it's in micro bits. You're learning a little piece at a time. And then you have an overall test at the end, of course, and to entitle you got to pass that, of course, to get the 50 CEUs. So there's information as well on the CRCC. But my email is please email me. I'd be happy to accept those. It's stroudve@stroudve.net, and then all of this is on our website as well.
To get more information on the training, that's also on stroudve.net.
Yes.
They can sign up for the training there.
Yes, they have a direct link into the platform and signing up, and it shows the different bundles to access. You can go to individual little bitty courses, but it's really it's less costly if you just sign up for a bundle, and especially us adding to a 20% discount. The standard cost is $4.95 for a person, and that's online for a year. So we're dropping that 20% for any of you on this today. And I thought that'd be great as a courtesy to ARCA, and I really appreciate y'all allowing me and the honor to speak.
I think that wraps it up for questions. We'd like to provide our sincerest gratitude to Marilyn Stroud for this wonderful, meaningful presentation. Marilyn, we're most grateful to have you here. Thanks for taking time with us today. For those in attendance, we appreciate you joining us today. We'd like to invite you to our next webinar for ARCA, which is on October 25th at 12 noon Eastern Time. It is USDA and Veteran Affairs. Additionally, please take our evaluation. It is in the chat. Vicki just posted it again. And on behalf of the American Rehabilitation Counseling Association, thank you very much for coming and making contributions to this. We will see you next month.
Okay. Bye, y'all.
Thank you, everyone.